What's up, folks, and welcome back to Dyce Reacts, where we are staying in London, England tonight. Oh yeah, we're going to be checking out 6 realities Americans discover after a year in England. Very much checks one out. We ain't going to waste no time. Just going to get right into it, folks. We're going to get right into it. Oh yeah.
Many Americans think daily life in England is almost the same as in the US, but important differences often go unnoticed. What looks familiar at first can hold surprises beneath the surface. Did you know that routines Americans see as normal, or even required, are either unusual or non-existent in England? For example, consider a crosswalk in central London during evening rush hour. People step into the street when they judge it as safe, while in the US, strict crosswalk rules are followed. Or imagine seeing rows of eggs stored at room temperature beside dry goods in a British supermarket, something that would raise eyebrows back home. These details challenge what Americans often assume to be standard. This video will break down 6 everyday things you cannot do in the US, but are ordinary or even expected in England. Examples are drawn from public reports, online forums, first-hand testimonials, and direct observation. The aim is to show real, unfiltered reality, not polished tourist highlights. But before we continue, make sure to subscribe. Number 6. Jaywalking allowed. Crossing a street in the United States means following specific signals and crosswalk markings. Americans are used to waiting patiently on the curb, sometimes for minutes, even when no cars are coming, just to obey the walk signal. In cities like Los Angeles and New York, police write thousands of tickets every year for so-called jaywalking. One mistake can lead to a $50 fine or more, and most pedestrians are concerned about insurance issues if they break the rules. These habits go back decades, shaped by the belief that regulations keep streets safe and orderly. In England, the experience is different. At a busy intersection near Piccadilly Circus, locals cross wherever they decide it is safe, and there are rarely penalties unless a person endangers themselves or others. Children learn to look both ways and use good judgment, rather than memorizing crosswalk signals. Americans visiting England often pause, noticing that no one reacts when adults and teenagers cross in the middle of the block, even between parked cars. It is a small detail, but it can change the entire feel of city life. In England, trust in individual judgment is valued over rigid enforcement. Crossing the street becomes an act of personal responsibility, with social expectations set through common sense rather than flashing signs. For Americans used to visible order, this freedom can feel both liberating and unfamiliar at first. Number 5. Long vacations the norm. In the US, a standard full-time job includes about 10 paid vacation days each year, and using even 2 weeks together is rare. The workplace culture puts work first, and employees often check emails or take calls on vacation. Some companies expect responses from staff even when they are traveling. Taking a real break is unusual, and coworkers may treat long holidays with suspicion. Before smartphones, stepping away was easier, but modern technology keeps many on call. In England, paid leave is a protected right. The law guarantees most workers at least 28 days of annual leave. Staying away from work for 2 weeks at a time is common, even recommended for rest and well-being. Colleagues see an out-of-office notice as a full detachment from work. Employers encourage people to recharge. On a weekday afternoon in a Kent cafe, it is normal to see people taking time off, not feeling pressure to stay connected. The U.S. system often reminds older generations of decades when work and personal life were less blended. In England, using vacation time does not carry guilt or anxiety about job security, and the habit of stepping away is widely supported even in a fast-moving world. Number 4. School choice flexibility.
England is not bad in terms of the flexibility. The United States is just a real rat race. I mean, you're on a hamster wheel. There's basically no stop. And I can imagine that some may feel guilty for even taking a vacation because they're so accustomed of working. So when you're not doing it, you actually feel like you're doing something wrong. And out of all the countries that I've done so far in terms of on this channel, because Australia is included, they have the best vacation system.
In the U.S., a child usually goes to the public school in their home district based on address. Many parents move specifically to be in what is considered a better school zone. Those who want other options must either relocate or pay for private school, often costing over $1,000 each year. This link between school and address shapes real estate choices. Yellow buses pick up children from strict borders, and home values are still tied to perceived school quality. England handles enrollment differently. Parents list their preferences for different schools, regardless of exact home location, and local councils place children based on application, not just address. Some schools are popular and fill quickly, but every child gets a place somewhere in the system, reducing the stress of strict boundary lines. Walking through a commuter town on a weekday morning, it is clear children wear varied uniforms and travel by foot or on public transport to schools chosen by family preference, not only by zone. As a result, housing decisions carry less pressure over school access, making the process feel more open to all families. Americans seeing the system often express surprise at how much choice is available, turning a familiar rule into a completely different approach. Number 3. Healthcare without bills. In the U.S., every doctor's visit leads to bills, sometimes paid immediately, sometimes weeks afterward. Even with insurance, a basic appointment includes a copay and the risk of other charges arriving later. Visiting urgent care can cost over $100 up front, not counting labs or follow-ups. Many people avoid the doctor for routine problems, more afraid of expenses than symptoms. The experience is loaded with paperwork, insurance cards, and uncertainty over what will be owed. In England, the National Health Service covers nearly all direct health costs. Appointments, hospital stays, and most prescriptions do not require payment at the point of care. At a general practice in Birmingham, patients simply check in, say their name, and wait. No paperwork, no payments. Costs are already covered by taxes, averaging about $3,600 per person each year. Some people choose to buy private insurance for faster access, but most rely on the NHS for standard care. Drawbacks include longer waits for non-urgent treatments and some limits on what is covered. However, for most families, visiting a doctor does not bring anxiety about bills or collections, and no one is denied care because of the price. This difference reshapes everyday decisions. For Americans experiencing the NHS, the lack of out-of-pocket charges and forms stands out, removing a constant stress present in the U.S. Number 2. Drinking at 18. U.S. law prohibits alcohol sales to anyone under 21, despite the fact that other adult rights, voting, military service, legal contracts begin at 18. Violating these alcohol laws has strong consequences. Restaurants and bars card every customer, and serving a drink to someone under 21 is a federal crime. The goal is to improve public health, but the result is a system where young adults bear full legal responsibility, yet are still restricted by age. In England, legal drinking starts at 18. Adults can order, buy, and consume alcohol in pubs, restaurants, and stores. On a Friday night at a York pub, it is normal to see 18-year-olds socializing with much older adults, handling a beer or cider with no attention from staff or patrons. In family settings, even younger teens may have a small drink with a meal, if their parents approve. The difference goes beyond law. Alcohol is part of regular adult life, not viewed as a forbidden substance. For Americans, this double standard is striking. An 18-year-old in the U.S. can carry a rifle and uniform, but cannot legally buy a beer.
Making some damn good points right there. Damn. I mean, it's going to be tough to argue what he's saying there. That is so true. That is so true, man. Wow.
Contradiction that stands out in comparison to English customs. Number 1. Eggs on the counter. In American supermarkets, eggs are always cold, displayed beside the milk. U.S. laws require that eggs must be washed and sanitized before sale, removing their natural protective coating. This step means they need refrigeration, or they spoil quickly. From childhood, Americans learn that eggs left out can become unsafe. Stores and government agencies reinforce the rule as a health requirement. In England, eggs are sold and stored at room temperature, stacked beside baking supplies and dry goods. The eggs keep their natural coating, so they stay fresh without cold storage. In every supermarket, it is common to see cartons of eggs on regular shelves, and many home kitchens also keep them on the counter, not in the fridge. Science backs up the practice. Unwashed eggs with unbroken shells resist harmful bacteria and last for weeks without refrigeration. Americans are often surprised or unsettled by this, since it contradicts lifelong food safety lessons and turns a supposed universal truth into just another local rule. The sight of eggs outside the refrigerator is a detail many remember long after leaving England. Across these differences, it is clear that some habits reflect a preference for written rules and visual order, while others rely on community judgment and tradition. Americans expect posted signs, strict enforcement, and formal safeguards. In England, practical decisions and quiet trust guide daily routines. Yet the very systems that provide comfort or predictability in one country can cause confusion in another. The question is not just what these habits are, but why they developed this way and what values lie underneath. Once such everyday contrasts are seen in person, they cannot be unlearned.
Very enlightening. Some things I didn't know. Well, there's one thing I didn't really know. This was more of a comparison, more so than saying which one is actually better. I would just leave it as a comparison aspect, because you could argue for any one of those points, have strong arguments in your favor. You know what I mean? But the comparisons is really eye-opening. The unwashed eggs, I didn't know that naturally it has a protective layer in terms of preventing it from spoiling fast and bacterial infection. I did not know that, because it's quite normal where I'm from that eggs are always washed. Yes, it's very, I can't recall any like a public place that sells unwashed eggs, unless you yourself you have your chickens laying, and most people still wash the eggs. So this was very interesting when he mentioned that, because I did not know that. You would think that when you wash it, it's more safer and cleaner. From most people's perspective, it may seem much more healthier, but on the flip side, it is not. So I don't think I'm the only one that was kind of surprised by that information there. I'm gonna ask someone. Yeah, so this was very enlightening comparison between America, England, people staying there, differences. So this is very good to know. Definitely I'm going to be checking out more from this channel. If you want to see that long outro that I do, hit me over on Dyce Reacts, where I do music reactions. This is where I'm going to be making my exit. So until next time, peace out.